Hey everyone, it's Vajernis here. Welcome to tactics number 4. Again, the quest to hit the 2300 in a couple of months. Now it's going to get a bit more interesting because now we're rated 1801 with 88% correct percentage and out of 121 attempts. So now the focus would be, as the tactics get harder, to have a bit more of a kind of speaking out my thought process and trying to solve. The goal will be to try to hit 2,000, or if I can't do it in half an hour, we'll probably call it quits then. Uh, just a little note. I know my last video we kind of had part of the board cut off, and that was my bad. I didn't notice this. There was a couple of calls that interrupted Riley and I's session, so we had to like kind of make that small edit. That being said, I learn from my mistakes, and hopefully I'll learn from my chess mistakes going with this. So let's get right into it and see what 1801 tactics look like. Okay, so we have King D6. Oh yeah. Oh, so I see the queen's being threatened just by me being have to move my bishop. Oh, but if I do that, then the knight captures on E7, protecting the queen. So I don't think it's that move. I think it has to be something else. Um, I can also play D4, and then the bishop would have to sack itself, because if the bishop moves off on the black bishop moves off on the E5 square, I can play bishop F4, and then I can get the queen capture. So I think it's D4. Yeah, that's right. And then bishop F4, and queen takes. All right, it's always good to get the first one. 1679. Um, okay, so we got a bit of some discovery checks. This looks pretty simple though. I think I can just play bishop e2, and then after black goes to bishop d5, I can play bishop c4, and then just put pressure on the d5 bishop. At least that's what I'm looking at. I don't think there's anything else, because if I don't block that light square bishop, it's going to take my rook. Yeah. So maybe it's not bishop c4. Maybe it's bishop f3 instead. Um, depends on I guess it depends on. No, if I play bishop f3, um, then I can get checked by rook to e3. So it must be bishop c4. Yeah, there we go. All right, woo, 2094. That's not bad. 42% pass rate. So yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Bishop e6. Okay, so if I play knight to g2, so already when you're looking at this sort of tactic, you kind of have a feeling that it's probably a mate, just because if you look at the white king, there's really a lot of limited squares. So I think just knight. Yeah, so I figured it was knight g2, because after that the king can't really move anywhere because there's all its spots are still preoccupied. So h6 would definitely be a mate. Yeah, see 1411. 1477. Pretty simple. Okay, so this is one of these. Um, okay, so it's one of these problems where I have to play king c2 to prevent the black king from moving, and then you have to make sure that you don't capture that black pawn that's going down to b file until you get your uh, queen with the c pawn. So it's kind of one of those like force black zugzwang moves. So king c2. Again, more really important not to take this black pawn because it's a draw. So push, push, and then I think the key is, okay, so if I take the pawn, it's king b1, and then after queen to c8, queen to a1, and then I can checkmate on queen c2. There we go. Pretty good. I like this one. 37% pass rate. So I always feel better if I can get it, and and the pass rate's relatively low. Okay, king to g7. Hmm. Ooh, this is interesting. Oh, this is clever. Okay, so I see the mate. So it's actually a mate. So you play queen f8, and the king has one move, has to take the queen, and then you bishop check to h6, king moves to g8, and then rook checkmate. So, the hard part about training your mind for tactics is knowing the board of what's the theme of the mate, or what's the theme of the capture. So you have to first decide, is it a mate or is it a capture to like get a better position. So when I started off at the beginning, I was thinking about how to get the pawn promoted or how to checkmate the king, but the black king going down to like the say the h file. But after a couple of moments, I realized that it's one of those simple like bishop maneuver queen sacks, and that's when I figured it out immediately. So again, it's all about like recognizing the best move. This one looks pretty simple. So queen h7. Oh, it's not. Why would that not be? Oh, I blundered. There goes my words. Okay, so let's try that again. So it's not queen h7. Okay, so what I was really thinking was queen h7, king f8. Oh, that's why. Because I was thinking about the rook d8 sat, rook d8, and if the queen takes, I can checkmate on f7. And if the rook blocks, and then I just take the rook and I win. But the problem is the king can escape to e7, and that's the reason why it's not mate. Wait, can I just play queen f8 for the mate then? Huh? Am I missing something? So queen h7, king f8, rook to d8, king to e7, queen f8, and then and then queen f, and then no, it's mate. Okay, so maybe there's another way to mate. Okay, maybe it's just looking for the very simple. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I can still mate the other way. Like if I go to analysis, can't I do this? Okay, so let's say I do this. Oh wait, maybe I can't. Maybe my calculation's off. Oh yeah, because I'm gonna play rook e8. See, so, okay, so this was good to know. I miscalculated the defense, and that's really important. I miscalculated that rook e8 actually is protected by the king when it hits the f8 after I played a rook d8 initially to check the king after it's moved by the queen on h7. Okay, I hope everyone followed me about that one, but that was good to learn. Okay, c3. So immediately I see a knight to e2 tactic. I think that's the only move. Okay, that's a 1646. What? Okay, so this is where it doesn't make sense. Like, I know it's a 1646, so it's a bit of a challenge. But how is it a 27% pass rate? That makes no sense. Like, I don't know. That looks simple, man. Okay, so we got to check. Um, okay, so if I go to king h1, g2, rook takes, or king takes h1, that's pretty suicidal. So, pretty sure I have to play king to g2. Okay, so now it's going back. It's the goal is to check me on e4. So I don't see any way to really stop the queen from going to e4 unless I push the pawn up. In which case now a bishop captures. So if I take the bishop, I'm letting a rook or queen infiltrate me. So now I have to look to see if I take the bishop, if the queen checks and I move to say g1, is that a threat? Probably, because he can play g2. Oh no, but it wouldn't matter because then I would just take the pawn with the rook and I'd be fine. So I think I could take the bishop. Yeah, see? There we go. All calculated. That was a good tactic to solve. So again, just looking ahead and seeing all the possibilities. 9% pass rate, so that was really good. I'm a little happy about that one. Okay, rook to e7. So already I can tell that this is some sort of like back rank mate. Oh, this one's really simple. We can go to queen e5 and then rook. All right, pretty good. Really don't have to explain that one. Okay, so bishop g5. Um, okay, so now I'm looking into knight to d4. No, that doesn't work. I would have to take the bishop on f3. Or sorry, take the knight on f3. White plays bishop x f3, and then knight to d4, queen to d1, and then what do I do from here? That's the real question. Oh, I can play queen f5, and then I'm threatening the bishop and to both bishops. And if black takes with bishop f6, I can play knight x f3 with the check, attacking the king and the rook, and the knight's being protected by the queen. So I think that's how it works. And now I can just take the free bishop. There we go. I don't really mind about my score being low. Like I'm sure if I solved it a lot faster, I could probably get a higher score. But again, the purpose is not to get a high score. The purpose is to keep my accuracy up by thinking all the tactics out. Because realistically, unless you're playing speed or bullet games, if you're playing tournament chess, you're gonna have a lot of time of figuring out the tactics. But you want to make sure that you're enhancing your vision, not necessarily um, your grinding ability or your calculative ability. Like there's a point where you can even just look at the board and just see the tactic immediately, and that takes no energy. You just have that hindsight. Okay, it's one of these little end game things. So okay, I actually never seen this style before. There's another pattern where you can actually, if the pawn was on c6, you can actually. There's a way to get out. There's a way to break through. It's like one of those classic endgame mates. Okay, so if I play b5, they can just play a5 and lock it up. If I play a5, they take. Oh, I get it. So the pawn on d6 acts as a blocker, so the black king can't infiltrate so smoothly. So I think this is right. And then I push the pawn on b5. Yeah, there we go. Because black trying to go diagonally to stop the pawn racing to from b5, it won't work because of the blocker on d6. That's why it's winning. Good problem. Okay, rook c7. Uh, hmm. Yeah, this is a so this is one of these little bit tougher problems because you're not there's no real clear way of how to get this going. So I'm first thinking queen b6. I'm also thinking knight b4, followed by knight x c6. But if I play knight b4, bishop d7, it kind of protects the pawn. So I probably want to just threaten the rook. But do I threaten the rook by b6? Do I play queen a5? There's a lot of options. Quite a bit of options. But I think queen b6 is probably better. Or not. Oh, I'm wrong. Okay, so I really don't know then. Um, I'm not sure. Oh, no, it can be bishop f4. And the queen takes. So let's try knight b4. Let's try my second idea. Nope, it wasn't that either. So okay, so I don't know the problem to this. Um, yeah, see that's the problem. I'm not sure what I'm trying to do here. Oh, I figured it out. I'm silly. So I can actually take this pawn on b5, and then the rook takes the queen, and I capture the other rook on c7 with the check, and then take the second rook, and that's the solution. So that's a good problem. 1826, good bit of a challenge. Reason why I couldn't find it because again I wasn't looking at, I wasn't sure what I was looking at, and therefore it's much harder to find it. But then I was looking at the last second all the different possibilities of any pieces, any material I could take, and then I saw the night pattern. So that's how I came to that conclusion. So again, good problem, good problem. Um, oh, this one's pretty simple. So queen takes, and then rook check. Pretty classic mate, but again, still really important to figure it out. All right, let's keep going. This looks like it's one of those mate combinations too with f3. Yeah, definitely f3. And now here, there's two options. If I rook check, it's not going to do anything. Oh yeah, it does. It does mate. Never doubt yourself, ever, Matt. Okay, 1922. Let's keep going. Sorry, that was... Oh, you took the pawn. Okay, so rook x e5. This might look like another mate scenario. Okay, so what's wrong with me taking... Oh, so I can't I just rook check first and then take the rook with the bishop? Oh no, so if I rook check, knight blocks. So if I took the rook on e5, queen infiltrates me on f8, and I wouldn't say I'm dead because I could still take the pawn on h7, but actually realistically, yeah, I would be dead because then the rook goes to h6 and checkmates me. So I can't actually do that, which makes me think rook a1 is probably the move. But then after the knight moves to d1, then I'm a little stuck on what's the best move. So is there something better? Oh, I know it's better. I could just rook check. So again, folks, try and make the problem simple as possible. Uh, the queen is obviously a dangerous square for it to be on f3 in order to checkmate me. So just try and divert the queen's attention. So if I play rook to a1, knight goes to d1, I can then take the knight, and then after the queen moves, then I can take the rook, and now I'm up on knight, and the queen can't checkmate me. So that's the solution. There we go. Nice 1780 problem. Okay, that was bishop x d5 on the knight. Now it is white to move. Okay, well, definitely isn't a checkmate. Can't I just take that bishop? What is wrong with that? Oh, I can't take the dark bishop because then I get checkmated. So it looks like I really have to take that bishop. Okay, bishop c7. Can't I just take this rook and then take the bishop, and then I'm up crazy bishops and rooks? Is that an acceptable answer? Yeah, because anywhere I move my queen, I lose the bishop, so I have to do that. Yeah, makes sense. 18, not bad. All right, we're at 1938. We got to get to 2000 before this ends. I feel like it's one of those checkmate scenarios. So my first instinct is knight d5. That looks pretty strong. And then if bishop takes, queen goes to e7. But then after queen takes, pawn takes, king to f7. It kind of stops everything. Um, I could also play knight to e4. Yeah, this is tough. I don't know which direction to go. It's not really clear to me. Okay, so if I play rook x d2. Okay, so what's wrong with taking the rook? So right now I'm down a piece. So I can play knight e4, and then if they want to prioritize their rook, they would play rook anything, rook f7, and then I can knight check, rook takes, queen takes, but it really doesn't do anything to my position because then the pawn on d6 falls. I feel like if I also take the rook on e7, it kind of like just makes it neutral because after uh, pawn takes on e7, queen takes, and then rook x d2, it's kind of like a very bland game. Actually, I would even consider them losing. So my first instinct is knight d5. Oh, I get it. So knight d5, bishop takes the knight, pawn takes e7, threatening the second queen, queen to d8, and then queen to e6, and then I check the king, and I take the rook on g4. Yeah, that has to be it. Oh no, that's not it. Oh wow. So this is a 2293 tactic, and knight d5 didn't work. Oh, I'm a little disappointed in myself. I thought could have sworn that worked. Okay, so my first instinct was just to take the pawn. Nope, that doesn't work either. So maybe it's simple. Maybe I just take the rook and then I play knight d5. Oh, yeah, because I'm threatening knight 6 and then I just captured the bishop. Okay, so let's see what was wrong with my first idea. So my first idea was knight to d5, and then after rook goes here to f7. Oh, sorry, no, that's not what I meant. Oh, because I was thinking knight d5, and then if the bishop takes, and then I can take with the pawn, and then the queen goes to e8, and then that's when I get the check. But the problem is I can't do that um, because I'm assuming the bishop will take the knight, when in fact the rook, like I said mentioned earlier, could go to f7. So I actually automatically confused myself. So look, if I go here, and then yeah, rook f7, and then white's still safe. White's still pretty okay. I mean, white's like pretty much in danger because we're down a piece still. Yeah, that's why. Okay, so I kind of got confused with my assessment, and that's what caused me to blunder. So, kind of keep that in mind. If you overwhelm yourself with all the different, you have to make sure that you don't miscalculate because that's really tough to do. So always like constant practice. Okay, queen h6. I feel like it's some type of well, if the king's in f3, it's some type of mate, right? So I'm playing. I can play king to. I can play knight to d1, and then after any move, I can play rook f1 for mate. There we go. Pretty simple. Bishop x e4. Uh, hmm. Can't I just take the rook with the queen? Yeah, okay. That took way too long. I'm like, why am I not getting this free piece? Okay, not bad. Let's keep going. 1956, we're getting to the goal for today. Rook to d4, and I'm black. So it looks like this one. It's another. It's probably another checkmate scenario. Uh, at least I like to think it's a checkmate scenario. Oh, this might be tricky. So e5, um, rook anywhere. I don't know. Where could the rook go? Rook d6, and then knight to e6, and then I'm threatening rook h8 for mate. But then after king to h7, yeah, it's I can then play rook to. I don't know. It doesn't seem so clear, but it's the only thing I can see. Like I can't move my king. I can't take that d7 pawn, if I move this rook, it goes straight to G7. And I have rook G6, which is the safe zone. Okay, I'm gonna try it. Okay, so it's definitely not that. So I missed something very obvious then. Um, what did I miss? Rook to G6? Is it now E5? Oh, I get it. So my idea was wrong, but my idea was correct, but the execution was. Oh no, execution was still wrong. Oh, because I could just take the bishop. Oh, okay, I lost that. Oops, misclicked. Okay, I completely this this is one time you'll see me like fumble the entire tactic. So again, I was looking at ways of checkmating, which in fact I incorrectly identified that it was really simply just to get rid of the bishop. So yeah, rook g6, and then leading up to the pawn push to move the harass the white rook, and then get the bishop on c6. Okay, I learned from that. Okay, bishop x e4. Do I have to take it? Can I just play? Can't I just play d3? Yeah, I can. And now I can take the bishop, because if I take the bishop, I can actually see myself promoting the pawns. There we go. Very simple, but really important, especially in endgames. Okay, so I'm already looking at queen h8, king x f7, queen x h7, king to g8, and then maybe gx f5. Is that about right? Okay, so I have that option. I'm also looking at 9h6 sack, black knight x h6. No, there's no threats there. I can rook take the knight, and then after bishop takes, knight to h6, king to f8, queen to f6, and yeah, I think that's mate. So take, check, check, take over. 2345. I don't think it's 2345, but I am happy to take the points. So good stuff. Okay, 1969. Okay, so my first thought was bishop takes g7 and then f6, but then the black queen could just take the pawn on f6, so that would work. And if I play f6, then black could just take the pawn on f6. So what do I do? Huh. This one's not as clear. What am I missing? Oh, I get it. I can take the knight on e3, and then I can play f6. And now I can capture the bishop. Okay. Ooh, 23-21. Really? I don't think that's a 23-21 tactic. Okay, 1985. We're close to the 2000 goal, and then we're gonna get to the real fun stuff. Um, so I'm looking at knight g5, followed by queen h6, queen h6, and then f7 mate. I just realized black has two queens. Holy jeez. Okay, so since black has a lot of sacking material, um, this is a bit of a problem because now you have to consider all these different like check factors because Black, since they have an extra piece, like a queen extra piece, they can literally throw that away, and, for and pretty much they're going to gain a piece from white. So now you have to consider all these factors. So now if I'm playing knight to g4, I have to consider queen xf1, bishop takes, and I don't know if that's a factor or not. Oh no, I'm silly. I just missed a combination. I forgot I could play queen h4 check, and then I could play bishop to e6, and then I could take the rook. I can't believe I missed that. See, look how complicated I made the game just by not looking at queen h4. So again, another good lesson to learn with tactics. So that one was unrated, so we don't know how much rain that was. Okay, so d5. So this is like a common position I see all the time. My first idea is to play knight to b4. I'm just trying to see if that makes sense or not. Or can't I just check with the black bishop first? And then after bishop d2, I can then play knight to d4, and that is pretty painful. I think that's right. Yeah, and now I can take the queen. All right, good stuff. So again, another 2300 rated tactic. That's pretty good. And now we've crossed the 2000 part. So mission accomplished. I don't know how long that's been, but I would assume it's like about half an hour, 40 minutes. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Again, it's gonna get harder now because there's Facebook. Uh, we're gonna get to next video will be from 2000 to 2100, and again, I'm expecting the strength to get a lot higher. It's gonna get a lot harder, but I hope this kind of helped you a little bit in terms of identifying certain level tactics, like the checkmate tactics from the pieces tactics. As you can see, I'm still making some mistakes. I'm still blundering 1600 tactics, but I am taking my time. I am focusing on the consistency part, and I think that's the key when you're trying to get better in chess, whether it's in tactics or if it's just in general, like chess studying. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give me a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's going to be a lot more videos of different varieties coming up soon. Um, a lot of different chess questions I'm answering, kind of giving my experience and feedback and what I've seen on the competitive side as well as the casual side. So I think there'll be some good value um, just by listening in and watching, hopefully, my content. Till then, this is Vajernis. Hopefully you have a good night.